I always thought my name meant something. My dad named me Muhammad Ali, not after religion, not even after heritage, but after the man himself. The champ. The legend. He used to say, if you carry the name of a fighter, you better fight for what's yours. Funny how that turned out. I, 33M, married Kayla, 31F, 6 years ago. We met at a friend's boxing gym, of all places. She wasn't into fighting, said it was too violent, but she was into watching me wrap my hands and jab at the air like I had something to prove. We hit it off. She was funny, smart, sarcastic in a way that made you lean in rather than back off. I thought I'd found someone who actually saw me, not just the name, not just the fists. The first year of marriage was solid. We both worked full-time, me in logistics, her as a marketing rep for a travel company. We didn't have a lot of time, but we made it work. She cooked sometimes. I cleaned. We argued about little things, like how she left every damn cabinet open, but it was playful. That's how I remember it anyway. Looking back, I realized the first crack was her phone. She got weird with it. Suddenly it was always face down. Notifications turned off. The lock screen changed to a fingerprint. And when I asked why, she laughed and said, "You're paranoid." What? You think I'm sexting a pilot or something? That's the thing about Kayla. She always had an answer ready. And it always made me feel stupid for asking. I let it go. Because love, right? Trust. But that trust started bleeding out little by little, and I didn't even notice the wound at first. So here's where it all started to really unravel. Kayla started working late. A lot. Supposedly. We have a campaign launching in Q3, and I'm managing the analytics, she'd say, pouring herself a third glass of wine like it was water. She wasn't even big on wine before. Suddenly it was just to unwind. She'd leave at 8 a.m. Come back past midnight sometimes, hair messy, makeup faded, but no stress in her body. Not the kind of worn-down look you'd expect from someone grinding at work. It was more like the glow of someone who just had a really good time, without me. One night, call it intuition, call it paranoia, I checked our shared car's GPS history. Now, to be clear, I'm not the kind of guy who snoops. I hate that crap. But this time, something felt off. She said she was at a downtown hotel for a work function. The GPS didn't go downtown. It pinged in a suburban neighborhood, stopped there for 3 hours, and then routed to a Taco Bell near midnight before heading home. I confronted her about it gently, like, "Hey, weird. The GPS says you were near Elmwood?" And man, the whiplash. Her smile dropped. She didn't even try to lie at first. She just blinked and said, "Why the hell are you checking the car?" Not, "Oh, that's weird." Not, "I carpooled with coworkers." Not even a fake laugh to ease tension. Straight to offense. I shrugged, trying to stay calm, trying not to accuse. I was worried. "You're out late," and it just didn't add up. Then she pulled out the classic. "I'm allowed to have my own life, Muhammad. Just because I don't report every minute to you doesn't mean I'm cheating." She used my full name, like a threat. I dropped it, like an idiot. Because again, I loved her. I wanted to believe that maybe she was just blowing off steam after work. Maybe she stopped by a friend's place, grabbed a bite, and didn't want to explain herself to an overthinking husband. But then, I started seeing patterns. Every time she said she was working late, that car GPS would ping somewhere else. Always residential streets. Never a hotel. Never the office. And that Taco Bell run at the end of the night? Every damn time. Like she needed a final reward before heading back to the fool who bought the lies. So yeah, Taco Bell became a recurring theme in my late-night detective work. At first, it was just on the GPS logs. But one night, after she passed out cold on the couch, still wearing her heels and some new perfume I'd never smelled before, I went out to the car to grab my gym bag. And there it was. A crumpled-up burrito wrapper on the passenger side floor. Not a huge deal, right? But it was the way it was folded, neat, like someone did it without thinking, out of habit. Not her. She's messy, always was. Even her coffee lids are half-closed and leaking. But this? Tidy. Organized. Someone else had been in my car. Someone who wasn't just eating burritos, they were comfortable enough to leave a trace. And then I saw it. A receipt stuffed in the door pocket. I pulled it out with shaking hands. Taco Bell, timestamped 11:53 p.m., same night she claimed to be on a Zoom call with the Singapore team. Bold-faced lie. But the kicker? The name at the top of the receipt. Order for Kyle. Kyle. You ever have a name hit you like a left hook to the jaw? Because I knew a Kyle. A very specific Kyle. Kyle was her ex from college. A gym bro drove a Dodge Charger and never met a button-up he didn't unbutton halfway down. She used to talk mad trash about him. Called him an insecure jerk with noodle arms and a podcast no one listens to. But now, suddenly Kyle was back. On receipts. In the car. Probably on her. I didn't blow up right then. I just stood there, in the driveway, under the porch light, holding this wrinkled receipt like it was a death certificate for my marriage. I stared at the name, that timestamp, and wondered how many times I'd hugged her while she still had him on her skin. I went inside. She was snoring lightly, phone clutched in her hand. I wanted to check it. I really did. But I didn't want to be that guy. Instead, I picked up her heels, placed them by the door, and said nothing. But I felt the shift inside me. A click. A cold one. Because I wasn't just suspicious anymore. I knew. All right. So a week after the Kyle receipt incident, I'm still sitting on it. I haven't said a word to Kayla. I've been playing it cool, too cool, honestly. You know when you go so quiet that even your dog looks worried? That was me. Then it happened. She left her phone at home. That phone, that damn fingerprint locked, glued to her hand phone, was on the kitchen counter charging when she left for a conference call breakfast with her boss. I swear to God, my heart skipped. I stared at it like it was a live grenade. I told myself I wouldn't touch it. I lasted 4 minutes. I opened it. And no, I didn't crack the fingerprint. But I could answer calls. And right then, like fate had booked the slot, it started ringing. Unknown number. Area code I didn't recognize. My gut said pick up. So I did. Yo, babe, you forgot your phone. What room are you in? Man's voice. Confident. Cocky. I froze. Hello, he said again. You there? I didn't say anything. I just breathed. Heavy. Let it hang there. Silence on his end for a second. Then, Kayla? Is someone with you? I hung up, and then I threw the phone across the kitchen. Not proud of it. It shattered on impact, screen first into the fridge. But I didn't even flinch. Because now there was no denying it. She wasn't even being careful anymore. Calling her babe? What room are you in? She told me she was going to IHOP, not a damn hotel room. My hands were shaking. Not from rage, but from this deep, ugly heartbreak that made me feel like I'd been cracked open down the center. I sat on the floor with the phone pieces and tried to breathe. What got me the most? It wasn't even the cheating. It was how casual it all sounded. Like I was the fool keeping the house warm while she played out her second life like it was nothing. She came home later that afternoon. Casual. Whistling. Holding an iced coffee like she hadn't just been exposed as the dollar store version of a Bond villain. She saw the busted phone pieces on the counter and froze. Her eyes darted to me on the couch. You broke my phone? I didn't move. I just stared at her. Then she laughed, like I had overreacted because maybe Instagram crashed or something. You know those things cost like $1,000, right? She said, shaking her head. Jesus, Muhammad, what the hell is wrong with you lately? That did it. I stood up and asked, flat out, who the hell is Kyle? Boom. Her entire face changed. It wasn't fear. It wasn't guilt. It was calculation. And then she delivered the line I swear should be studied in psychological warfare training. Oh my God, are we really doing this? Kyle is gay. We went to brunch with his fiancée, remember? He needed help with his resume. That's literally all. You seriously think I'm cheating on you with Kyle? Kyle. She said Kyle like it was the most ridiculous suggestion ever, like I'd accused her of having an affair with a tree. But here's the thing. We did go to brunch with a Kyle. A different Kyle. Not her ex. Not the one from college. And he was gay. But this voice on the phone? That wasn't brunch Kyle. That was Charger driving, podcast hosting, Taco Bell at midnight Kyle. I told her about the phone call. And she flipped it on me faster than you can blink. You answered my phone? You spied on me? Are you kidding? You're controlling. That's why I don't tell you everything. Because you always act like this. Now I'm the villain. She stood there, waving her hands, yelling about trust and boundaries like I hadn't just caught her arranging hotel rendezvous behind my back. She kept repeating it. Kyle is gay. You're spiraling. Get a grip. And for a moment, just a second, I actually questioned myself. That's how good she was. That's how good liars work. But then I remembered the voice. The hotel reference. The order receipt. The GPS history. The midnight Taco Bell runs. And the name. Yo, babe. Nope. That wasn't brunch Kyle. That was betrayal. Wrapped in a lie. Served with confidence. You know what's funny? I'm Muhammad Ali. Not the Muhammad Ali, obviously. But I'm named after him. My dad gave me the name to remind me I come from fighters, real ones. Men who don't flinch, men who don't back down. And for a long time, I thought fighting meant throwing hands or yelling louder. But when Kayla gaslit me that hard in part 5, that was the moment I realized something. Sometimes the smartest punch is the one you don't throw. So I didn't blow up. I didn't scream. Didn't pack a bag. Didn't even tell her I knew everything. I just nodded and said, maybe you're right. And I meant it, because maybe she was right. About one thing. I was done trusting her. Done giving her the benefit of the doubt. Done being her emotional punching bag while she played career woman by day, motel gymnast by night. That night, while she slept, probably texting Kyle under the blanket, I didn't sleep. I pulled up her iPad. She never logged out of her Apple ID. Her messages synced. And buddy, let me tell you, it was worse than I thought. Voice notes. Pics. A video of her in a hotel bathroom wearing nothing but a towel, whispering, "Can't wait to see you again. Muhammad thinks I'm at a webinar." There it was. Proof. Visual. Verbal. Timestamped. I felt my stomach turn, like someone poured ice water into my spine. But I didn't cry. I screenshotted everything. Sent it to a hidden email. Printed a few key texts. Stored the rest on an encrypted flash drive. Why? Because this wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. It was about strategy. And I wasn't going to let her take me for a ride in court, pretend I was the bad guy, or suddenly discover she was traumatized by our marriage when she needed an excuse for her behavior. I was done being her fool. Time to float like a butterfly and hit like a spreadsheet. All right, buckle up. This is the part where the Kayla show started crashing into commercial break-level chaos. After collecting all the messages and video proof from her iPad, I took a few days to quietly meet with a lawyer. Shout out to my buddy Marcus from college. He does divorce and family law now and slid me a free consult over coffee. I laid it all out. Told him I didn't want revenge. I wanted control. I wanted to come out clean, clear, and not left paying alimony to a woman who couldn't even fake being faithful. Marcus reviewed everything. His first words? She's sloppy. You've got enough here to make a judge raise both eyebrows. So, we started the prep. Quietly. Now here's where the security camera comes in. We've got one of those smart doorbell cams, motion activated, backs up to the cloud, not super fancy but reliable. Kayla always acted like it didn't work because the app annoyed her, but I kept it running. And guess who showed up in the footage one night at 12:14 a.m.? While I was visiting my mom in Baltimore for her surgery, Kyle, wearing a hoodie, hand on her waist as they stumbled into the house. She was giggling. He smacked her butt. Then they disappeared inside. A few hours later, same camera caught him leaving, shirtless, sneakers unlaced, looking like he ran a 10K through bad decisions. I pulled the footage, synced it to the growing evidence folder, and labeled it Exhibit Dumbass. Now here's the wild part. She tried to lie about it again. I tested her. I asked, super casual, "Hey, didn't I see someone drop something off while I was gone?" Doorbell app pinged me. She didn't even blink. "Oh yeah, that was Amazon," she said. "I ordered a weighted blanket." "Right. Weighted blanket named Kyle?" I didn't say anything. Just nodded and sipped my coffee. It was almost impressive how confidently she lied, how smooth she was. Like it wasn't even deception anymore. It was reflex. But the clock was ticking. And I was done letting her lie while I played dumb. So, it was a Thursday. Clear skies. Coffee tasted normal. She was doing her usual morning routine, acting like a Pinterest wife. Yoga mat in the living room, oat milk in the latte, fake smile on her lips. And I was sitting on the couch, holding the envelope. I had it delivered by courier. Not because I needed the drama, but because I wanted a witness. And I didn't trust myself to hand it over without losing it. At exactly 10:17 a.m., the doorbell rang. She answered. Courier handed her the packet, smiled, left. I stayed on the couch and watched her face. At first, she looked confused. Then she read the top sheet. And boom, I watched the switch flip in her brain like someone hit the lights in a warehouse. Her whole face dropped. She spun around. "You're divorcing me?" I didn't say a word. Just looked her dead in the eye. And that's when the Oscar-worthy meltdown began. She fell to her knees. Literally. Like a war widow in a soap opera. She cried. No. Wept. Hands to her face, voice shaking like she was reading a monologue from a play called, "I'm the real victim here. Trust me." "You didn't even talk to me," she screamed. "You just gave up on us. What about therapy? What about working through this? You're being so cold." "Cold? Ma'am, You've had more men in our house than Postmates. But I still didn't raise my voice. I just told her, you didn't want therapy when I asked 6 months ago. And you had no problem working through Kyle on hotel mattresses. She went silent. And then, the switch flipped again. Now she was angry. You're going to regret this, she snapped. You don't understand what you're doing. I'm not the only one with flaws, Muhammad. Right. Because this was all about my flaws. Like trusting her, believing in her, letting my guard down. She stormed into the bedroom, slammed the door so hard the picture frames rattled. I sat back down. Quiet. Calm. Heart heavy, but oddly clear. Because for the first time in months, I wasn't being lied to anymore. And that silence? It felt like peace. After the paper-throwing, door-slamming drama of Part 8, Kayla went quiet for about 48 hours. No slamming cabinets. No crying fits. No pretending to stretch while secretly texting Kyle under her leg. Just eerie calm. Then the email started. From her lawyer. Yep. She lawyered up fast. Which honestly, I expected. She's not the kind to go down easy, not even when she's been caught red-handed, caught on camera, and caught on an iPad synced to the cloud. Her lawyer sent over a list of initial expectations. Want to guess what was on it? She wanted the house. She wanted me to pay the mortgage until she got back on her feet. She wanted half my retirement savings. Oh, and spousal support, because she sacrificed her career to support my goals. Let's take a breath together here. She wanted the house. The house. The one I bought. In my name. That she moved into after we were married. See, what she didn't know, because she never asked, because she just assumed everything would be hers by default, was this. I bought that house before we got married. Used an inheritance from my grandfather. Paid the down payment in full, and the deed was only in my name. The mortgage? Also mine. Even my lawyer laughed when he saw her list. She thinks she's entitled to the house. She does. And she cheated? Repeatedly. She's got guts. Or she's got Kyle's lawyer whispering in her ear. So we fired back. Nicely, professionally. But with all the receipts. Dates. Deed. Security footage. Screenshots. Timeline of when she moved in, and how her financial contribution was barely Netflix and toilet paper. Her lawyer went quiet after that. And then Kayla stormed into the kitchen one night, waving her phone. You think I don't deserve the house? I gave you the best years of my life. Lady, you gave me gaslighting, gray hairs, and a man named Kyle in gym shorts. She was pacing now. Full meltdown. Talking about starting over. About how this wasn't the plan. About how I ruined her life. But she never once said she was sorry. Not once. That's when it hit me. She didn't love me. She loved the version of her life that I provided. The house. The safety net. The loyalty. She just wanted to keep all that. Without keeping me. It happened on a Sunday. I was in the garage, packing up some old boxing gear. Not because I was going to hit the bag, but because it was time to start moving my stuff into a friend's guest house. I needed out mentally, physically, spiritually. Then I heard the car door slam. Didn't think much of it. Probably a delivery or Kayla going off to another fake yoga class. Until I heard a man's voice. And then her laugh. A familiar laugh, the one she used to give me, back when she still pretended I was the love of her life. I stepped out of the garage just in time to see him. Kyle. All 6 feet 2 inches of him, in a salmon-colored polo, standing in my driveway like he was showing up for a damn barbecue. And Kayla? She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. She saw me standing there, arms crossed, and had the audacity to say, "This isn't what it looks like." Oh, really, Kayla? Because from where I'm standing, it looks a lot like the guy you were banging behind my back just pulled up to my house in your Prius and helped himself to my driveway. I walked over. Calm. Dead calm. Looked Kyle right in the eyes. You know this is still legally my house, right? He opened his mouth, then wisely shut it. Guessed the part of his brain that wasn't soaked in Axe body spray had a survival instinct. Kayla stepped in. Can we not do this right now? You're being toxic. Toxic? Toxic? Lady, you cheated, lied, gaslit, tried to steal my house, and now you're bringing your side due to the crime scene. And I'm toxic? I lost it. Not in a screaming, punch the drywall kind of way. No, I laughed. A full, unhinged, hysterical laugh. The kind of laugh that says, wow, I wasted 5 years of my life on someone who thinks bringing her affair partner to the front yard is a casual Sunday activity. I told Kyle, hope you brought snacks, buddy. She cries a lot, lies more, and apparently thinks commitment means until brunch do us part. Good luck. Then I walked inside. That was the last time I ever spoke to him. She chased after me, yelling, calling me immature, saying I embarrassed her in front of someone she might have a future with. Yeah, she said that, while still married to me. All right, so after the whole Kyle invasion event, I was expecting more drama from Kayla. More accusations, more tears, more lies. Instead, something different happened. One evening, while scrolling through my inbox, I found an email from her mom. I hadn't heard from her in months, maybe years, but there it was, sitting in the spam folder like a forgotten relic. Subject line: we need to talk about Kayla. Curious and honestly a little wary, I opened it. Her mom wrote, Muhammad, I don't know what's going on between you and Kayla, but I want you to know I've been worried. Kayla hasn't been herself. She's been distant, secretive. And I think she's struggling with more than just the marriage. I'm sorry if I stayed silent too long. If you want to talk, I'm here. This caught me off guard. All this time, I thought her mom was on Kayla's side, always defending her, dismissing my concerns as paranoia or male ego. But this email, it showed me something I hadn't considered. Kayla wasn't just lying and cheating because she was a selfish jerk. Maybe she was lost. Maybe she was battling things she couldn't admit to anyone. I replied cautiously, thanking her for reaching out and asking if we could meet. We did. We talked for hours. Her mom told me about Kayla's childhood, how she was pressured to be perfect, how she felt trapped by expectations, how she'd been seeing a therapist secretly but never told me. For the first time, I saw Kayla through someone else's eyes, not just as a liar or betrayer, but as a human being wrestling with her own demons. It didn't excuse what she did, but it added layers. And honestly, it gave me a little peace. Because betrayal hurts, but understanding is the first step to healing. After that unexpected email from Kayla's mom, I realized I couldn't keep dragging this heavy emotional baggage alone. So, I finally did something I'd avoided for years. I started therapy. I'm not gonna lie, walking into that therapist's office felt like stepping into a boxing ring. Vulnerable, exposed, but ready to fight. The first few sessions were rough. I had to confront a lot. My own blind spots, the ways I ignored the warning signs, how I idealized Kayla and refused to believe she could betray me. I learned things about myself I hadn't wanted to see. Like how I sometimes put everyone else's happiness before my own. Like how I let pride stop me from asking for help. And most importantly, how I stayed in a toxic relationship because I was scared of being alone. Therapy didn't magically fix everything, but it gave me tools. Tools to process my anger without exploding. Tools to let go of the sadness without being crushed by it. Tools to finally accept that some people don't deserve our loyalty. And Kayla? I came to terms with her as a flawed, complicated person who made terrible choices. Not the perfect wife I'd imagined. Not the villain either. Just someone broken in her own way. I still miss the good parts. But now, I'm ready to move forward. So after months of silence, Kayla reached out for what she called closure. I was hesitant, but part of me wanted to hear her out, maybe get some final answers. We met at a small cafe, nothing fancy. She looked tired, thinner, and honestly different. The sharp edge was gone, replaced by this hollow weariness. She started by apologizing. Well, kinda. I'm sorry for the pain, she said. Not sorry for who I am. Classic Kayla. I told her how much she hurt me, how the lies cut deeper than the cheating. She nodded, eyes glistening. Then she dropped a bombshell. I was scared, she whispered. Scared to face my own failures. Scared to be honest. I thought running away was easier. Hearing that broke something inside me. Not because it justified anything, but because it explained so much. We talked for hours, honestly. Not like before, no shouting, no blaming. Just two broken people trying to make peace. When we left, we shook hands. No hugs, no promises, just a door closed. And as I walked away, I realized that sometimes closure isn't a big dramatic finale. Sometimes it's just acceptance. All right, here's where things get real. After that last talk with Kayla, I was left with two choices: sink deeper into bitterness or start rebuilding. I chose rebuilding. First, I leaned on friends and family, people I'd pushed away during the marriage because I was so caught up in trying to fix things alone. Second, I threw myself into work, but not to escape. This time, I used it as a way to rediscover who I am outside the relationship. Third, and most importantly, I kept going to therapy. It became my anchor, my safe place to untangle the mess in my head. What I wish I knew sooner. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore those tiny alarms. People can lie, and sometimes the person you love most can hurt you the worst. It sucks, but it's true. Self-worth isn't tied to someone else's opinion of you. You deserve honesty, respect, and love that doesn't come with a side of manipulation. Healing takes time, and that's okay. Don't rush it or expect to be over it by next month. It's okay to walk away, even if it feels like failure. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say goodbye. I'm still a work in progress, but I'm finally proud of the man I'm becoming. Kayla? I wish her well. No hate, no bitterness. Just peace. All right, here's the bottom line. If you're reading this because you suspect your partner is lying, cheating, or just plain not who you thought they were, know this. You're not alone. I was once in that dark place where every smile felt fake, every word felt like a trap, and every night ended with more questions than answers. It's brutal. It hurts. It shatters your sense of reality. But it can get better. Not overnight, and not without pain, but it can. Your worth isn't measured by someone else's betrayal. You deserve to be with someone who sees you as a person, not a possession or a stepping stone. And sometimes, loving yourself means letting go of the love you thought you had. So if you're here, feeling lost or betrayed, reach out. Talk to friends. Find a counselor. Write your story down. Whatever it takes, don't bottle it in. Because healing starts with honesty, first with yourself. Thanks for reading my story. I hope it helps someone out there. Stay strong.